Good morning, and we are back to Shades of Green on KDWN 720 AM and 101.5 FM here in the Valley of Sun and Sin. We were talking to James Stein and Michael Cooper, who are energy managers for Southwest Gas. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
And of course, we have the lovely Annette Bubak recording us for Facebook Live. If our callers have questions, you'd like to call in and talk with these folks at 702-257-5396. That's 702-257-KDWN. We also have Stan on the line. Stan, are you there? Marvelous. Yourself? And good, thank you. And so we'd like to also point out that our show is produced by the Green Alliance of Nevada, and I am your host, Paul Ira. So, gentlemen, we were talking about converting vehicles to compressed natural gas and also replacing vehicles with compressed natural gas vehicles. Let's talk a little more about that, and then I want to go into this thing you call RNG.
Okay.
So, how many vehicles do you have that are converted, and what do you see is it extend the lifespan or anything like that?
As far as the exact numbers, I honestly don't have the exact numbers on me. It's a different area in our fleet that really gets into all of that. I know that my entire team, all of our vehicles are being converted over from my team, and so it's a pretty decent percentage. And it's in some vehicles it may not make sense for in our fleet, but all of ours, when it does make sense, though, we're aggressively pushing for this. To be able to do these conversions, to be able to meet our greenhouse gas emission standards reductions.
Good. So tell us a little bit about the renewable natural gas, or RNG.
Okay. And so RNG really is something that we're very excited about because it's a new emerging technology that allows for us to be able to provide a carbon neutral gas back into our system and give our customers another option outside of the traditional natural gas. And so what RNG is, for those that aren't familiar with it, it's natural gas you're able to capture from farms, from wastewater treatment facilities if they have a digester, and from landfills. And you're able to capture the methane from those processes, and this gets very complicated, so I won't go into the specifics, but you're able to capture the methane from those processes, clean it back up, and inject it back into our system to be able to use it. And once I said before, like, it's a carbon neutral option. This is very new technology, and even the scrubbing is very labor intense, and it's a very long lead items we're finding out ourselves. But I'm very proud to say that in all of our service territories, we have multiple projects that we're aggressively in the middle of in different phases. And so we anticipate being able to have this option available for our customers in all of our territories in the very near future.
So do you pursue those kind of projects with the like the water reclamation plants?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay. I know I worked with Clark County Water Rec, and they don't have digesters, so they couldn't do it.
They don't, but there's other water rec facilities in the valley that do have digesters. And there were even discussions about potentially moving some of the fog from the ones that don't have digesters to the sites that have digesters to be able to help accelerate the process and increase the amount of RNG that we're able to produce from those sites.
Yeah, we did have a discussion about a pipeline from the Las Vegas facility to the Clark County facility, because they are, the way the crow flies, relatively close. So
Yes.
That would be a good thing to do. So what are the national implications
of RNG? I think there's a lot of discussion going on right now about electrification, and I think that natural gas is a part of the overall long-term vision for sustainability and being conservative with our resources. And in California, for example, there is a big push for electrification, and there's even been all kind of mandates about 100% electrification within that region. But there's a recent study that came out, and if you look at the actual data, there may be more efficient ways for us to be able to be more efficient. And I think it's not going to be a magic bullet in the form of one energy source or other, but I think it's going to be a combination of multiple different things that we bring together, new technology that's going to allow for us to be able to meet our goals and be more energy efficient. And so there's a new study that came out that I found very interesting, and it says that if you replace less than 20% of the traditional gas supply that's in California with RNG, you can achieve the greenhouse gas emission reductions that's equivalent to going 100% electrification for all the buildings in California.
Really?
Yes.
Just 20% of the vehicles?
No, less than 20% of the gas in the pipeline.
Oh, in the pipeline.
In the pipeline,
okay.
with RNG. And so what that does is, that's much more feasible. when you talk about the economics associated with going with electrification and all of that, I mean, the infrastructure issues they're having already in California, you have a long-standing infrastructure of natural gas within all of our states, and so you're able to utilize these assets that are already there and kind of bridge the gap. And then there's a whole nother discussion, I don't want to take up all the time, but dealing with the power to gas transition, where there's ways for you to even utilize the benefits they're having and the things that's going on the power side from the solar and wind generation, and any of that excess capacity that's not being used right now by the grid. You're able to do a process called electrolysis, able to convert and pull out the methane from those processes, store it in a natural gas infrastructure that's already there, and then whenever you do need to be able to fill the gaps and get more power production than what's being done by the solar or the wind, then you can use this carbon neutral source for natural gas to be able to generate electricity. So it's kind of a full circle and different things you can do to truly be more efficient.
Yeah, storage is kind of the ticket. If you can get to the point where we can store it too, so then during the day when you're using solar, you can store that natural gas and use it at night. So
Yes.
that's great. Let's talk a little bit about planning new facility projects and all the things that apply to that.
Okay, so as Michael touched on, from a sustainability standpoint, we've looked at the CNG, the RNG. There's a lot of other things that we look at, as a company and when planning new facilities. That goes into solar canopies mounted on parking structures, rainwater collection, zero-scape, software-controlled LED lighting. So a lot of different things that we're doing, across the board. Also we can daylight harvesting and motion sensors. These are all things that we're doing, within our own buildings from a sustainability standpoint, things that we talk to our customers about as well when working with them.
Good, good. So you're committed to the citizens and the corporate responsibility around the valley and what have you. What are some of the exciting things you're doing that's making a difference?
Well, I think that's what we're calling at our company ESG, right? Our environmental, social, and government. So a lot of things that we're doing there, that shows that we're committed and great corporate citizens and trying to be responsible citizens in our areas. So things such as pipeline emissions is something that we monitor very closely. Something that's good for us is, natural gas came to Nevada in 1953, so it's relatively new across the board, and we've replaced older pipelines along the way. But so we monitor those, and we're always watching for any potential leaks or anything like emission issues like that as well. Damage prevention is very important to us as well. Oops.
We lost a caller.
We lost our caller.
Yeah, so,
Stan's gone.
keep going. Yeah, so
We're keeping them engaged. Yes.
sorry about that. And then, from a social arm, on the ESG side, we just want to remain responsible corporate citizens through the community. We do a lot of different things from a company standpoint. We have something called Fuel for Life, where employees participate in giving back to the community and local charities. Kind of a big success of ours was we donated over $2.1 million to local charities in 2018. So that's pretty big, from our employee standpoint, everyone giving back. And, what's kind of neat about that is it comes directly out of our employees' paychecks, and 100% of that goes to charities.
Oh, that's great. What kind of participation rate do you have with that?
The participation rate is 81%.
Oh, that's almost everybody then,
Yeah,
isn't
so
it?
majority of our employees are taking part in this Fuel for Life campaign that we have. In the last 6 years, we've given back over, almost $10 million to 300 charitable organizations.
Well, that's great. And having it taken right out of your check, that shows real commitment.
It
Yes.
does. It
That's
does.
really good stuff. So tell us a little bit quickly about the Blue effort.
So we have a blue effort that we have at Southwest Gas. It's building lives up everywhere. And once again, just showing our dedication to giving back to the community. Our employees volunteer basically to be donate their time doing charitable work in all these different areas, from planting trees, parks, stuff like that. So just kind of some quick stats. We've planted 600 trees, restored 4,500 books, and collected more than 3,000 blankets for different folks in the valley.
So your employees are giving money and time. That's
And time,
good stuff.
yes.
Let's talk some more about this when we come back to Shades of Green on KDWN. We'll be right back.